Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we are going to be talking about something very exciting, something that I have been waiting for forever, and that is Virtua Fighter Model 1 emulation. As many of you, if not all of you know, Virtua Fighter emulation has been next to impossible to get right for over 20 years now. But now with the advent of a new emulator called Wang Model 1, it is possible. And not only is it possible, but it's practically perfected already. This emulator has been developed by Sega Model King, aka Wang Drum. A little over 3 weeks ago, I had seen the beta version of this emulator in action and thought, whoa, this is gonna be really cool. But to my surprise, a video from Game Esoterica popped up in my feed showcasing that it is now nearly perfected. For whatever reason, I hadn't seen the video pop up in my feed 4 days prior when the initial announcement was made by Wang Drum. This is a huge deal for all us Virtua Fighter fans. Prior to this, the only version that played correctly was the Astro City mini version. Now, some of you might be saying, alright, but this has been playable in MAME for a long time, and that's true, but the movement's not right, the timing is kind of messed up, and collision detection is definitely screwed up, which also plays into the ring out detection. Well, Wang Model 1 has fixed these issues. And the thing that you guys have to understand is that Model 1 was like an incredible technology monster when it was released in 1992. It used a custom NEC V60 CPU paired with Sega's infamous Fujitsu TGP geometry processor. That handled the game's 3D calculations and transformations into hardware. And that's ultimately what powered the awesome polygons of games like Virtua Fighter, Virtua Racing, Wing War, and Star Wars Arcade. But the custom geometry hardware also became the reason emulation would struggle for decades. It's important to understand that the original board wasn't simply drawing polygons, it was performing thousands of floating point calculations every second in very specific ways. And tiny inaccuracies in those calculations produced major gameplay differences. So the fact that somebody has now been able to achieve this emulation almost perfectly is insane and exciting at the same time. Now, before anybody tries to light me up in the comments, this isn't an attack on MAME. I absolutely love MAME. The MAME devs have done incredible work to preserve arcade gaming history. And without MAME and all the people who have contributed to MAME, arcade games would simply be gone forever. So, huge shout out to MAME. And while MAME devs have been making huge improvements on Model 1, especially over the last year, Virtua Fighter has always been a weak spot. The biggest issue wasn't graphics, it was gameplay behavior. And players noticed attacks connecting differently than they did on original hardware. And that is mainly attributed to the floating point calculations. So I guess you could say that the philosophy of Wang Model 1 is to completely focus only on one game. That's exactly what happened. Instead of trying to emulate every Sega Model 1 title, Wang Model 1 focuses almost entirely on the original Virtua Fighter arcade release. The singular focus allowed the developer to spend time fixing the things that matter most to players: animation timing, collision accuracy, movement behavior, etc. And the result of this in a very short time span has been something that Virtua Fighter fans, I think, are very happy with and going to be very happy with. Even community members who own original cabinets have commented on how surprisingly accurate it feels. That's something people have been waiting to hear for over 2 decades. Is it perfect? No, not yet, but it's very close. The other thing to take into consideration is there has never been a perfect port of Virtua Fighter. Even the Astro City Minis version was still flawed in many ways. We all know about the Saturn version and the 32X version, which are great for what they are, but not even close to the arcade. And this is a game that is a historical artifact. I mean, it's polygon purity at its best. It's a game that inspired games like Tekken, Dead or Alive, and other 3D fighting games that became iconic as well. For me, I've come very close to getting this cabinet 2 times. One time I even paid $800 for shipping, but there was an issue with the person who was shipping out the cabinet and they canceled my order. So whatever. I guess my point is I'm a huge fan and this is a big deal, and I hope for those of you who share my enthusiasm, you can see why this is huge and you guys will share this video and help get this information out there. Mapping controls is super easy and very rudimentary, and from what I understand, it works with pretty much any controller that you can plug into a PC. I didn't have a lot of time to throw this video together, so most of the footage that you guys are seeing in here is from either Video Game Esoterica or directly from Wang Drum's YouTube channel. So please make sure you head over and subscribe to both of those channels if you are not. And for decades, if you wanted a definitive version of Virtua Fighter, the answer was simple. You're gonna have to buy a Model 1 board or cabinet. And this had like 3 or 4 parts to it that you had to get in order to get the game working correctly. Today, for the first time, the answer might be changing. Well, maybe as of 3 weeks ago. But Wang Model 1 isn't finished, and it's not quite perfected yet, even though it is so close. But it is definitely the most accurate Sega Model 1 emulation ever created for Virtua Fighter. And for fans of Sega history and arcade preservation, one of the most influential fighting games ever made is now this close to emulated perfection. And it's definitely good enough to rock it in a cab. That is incredibly exciting, because after 33 years, someone has finally stepped up to the plate to give this game the emulator that it deserves. If you've already tried Wang Model 1 yourself, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, please remember to hype it up, like, and share with anybody else who you feels like will be excited about this information. If you'd like to grab this emulator, head over to the King's YouTube channel and you can get it there. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then. And I'm gonna leave you with a little bit more of Wang Model 1's gameplay here.